Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. We're going to have in Metzia Hashem two interesting pieces of Gemara today. We just finished the Mishnah in Daf Tzadi Gimel Amud Aleph Vav Metzia. We're going to explain the Mishnah and learn a very, very interesting topic. Is passive work considered as work or not? The question we have at hand today is a person who's a guard, a person who's a shomer, is a guard guarding the fruit, guarding the field, where the fruit is. And the question is, if the Torah says that a person is supposed to eat fruit because he's working in the field and he has the rights to eat from the fruit, do we say that a guard also eats from the fruit or not? So the Mishnah said, let's just dive straight in. The Mishnah says, Shomer Peres Oichlin Bilchas Medina Volom in Torah. I'm reading now the Gemara. I just finished reading the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that it's just the Rabbanon. In other words, the Rabbanon is a rabbinical decree. The reason why a shomer would eat from the fruit is only because it became accepted by the Medina. It became a social / financial norm for people to eat, for landowners to allow the shomer, the guard, to eat from the fruit. And therefore, Chachamim endorsed it and made it into a proper Jewish custom. But not min Torah. Midoraisa, no. The shomer from the Torah, but the letter of the law, by the Doraisa, is not supposed to eat from the fruit. Says the Gemara. Now, there's a big and very extreme machlokes between Rav and Shmuel, and you guys have charts about it too. We're going to show the chart soon. Shomer Peiros, Omar Rav, Lo Yishanu Elo Shomer Ganas Upardesim. Says Rav, the kind of shomer, the stage of shmira that is mechayev is only ganos upardesin. Ganos upardesin means gardens and orchards where things are still in the middle of growing. When stuff is still in the middle of growing, then nobody eats midoraisa. Remember, midoraisa people are not supposed to eat while stuff is still growing, only when they pick it and onwards, right? So then the shomer ganos upardesin, they don't eat midoraisa. Nobody else does, for the matter. But midorabanon they do. Midorabanon they eat, miniga medina. Says Rashi, and so do other workers. If the shomer, who's a passive worker, gets to eat midorabanon at the early stage, when nobody eats midoraisa, all the more so the guy who's sweating his back away by hoeing and by watering, of course he gets to eat midorabanon. Aval shomer gitos varemois oichlin min haTorah. But once the guards actually guard something which is a gas or an arema, what is a gas? This is a wine press. When the wine is in the middle of being pressed, but that's the stage when people eat with the oraisa, the workers, or aremos. What's aremos? Heaps, piles. When things are piled in the field, that's heyday, that's party time. Everyone eats their midoraisa, and so to the shomer eats midoraisa. Kasova mishamer kroisem aisedami. Rav is very simple. According to Rav, there is no difference between a shomer and an active worker. Passive and active are the same. We give them the same importance, the same level, and both of them eat midoraisa when they eat midoraisa when it is already piled up, and midorabanon they only eat midorabanon miniga medina when it's still attached. So far, so good. That's Rav. You can see it in the chart. I'm going to show the chart now. In other words, Rav says a guard eats midorabanon, as do active workers, and already detached. Once it's detached already, then he eats midoraisa like everybody else. The guard is the same as everybody, and everybody eats all the time, right? The only question is the raisa or the rabbanon. Now, Baruch Hashem. Now, Shmuel Omar says Shmuel. No, Shmuel pins the Mishnah to the other side of the chart. Says Shmuel, Lo shonu lo shomer gitos v'aremos. The ones who guard the gitos v'aremos, meaning the detached stage, when everybody eats midoraisa, the guard eats only midorabanon. Aval shomer ganos upardesim. The shomerim who are shomer the gan in the pardes, the shomer the orchards, the shomer when the stuff is still attached to the ground and people don't eat, even the regular people don't eat it at all, right? When stuff is still attached to the ground, no. Nobody eats, and surely not the shomrim. They don't eat not min Torah velo midrabanan, not milchas medina. The guards, they don't get to eat at all. Kasova, he thinks mishamer lav koisem maisedami. He believes that a mishamer, a person who's passively watching, can be doing a great job. He's not looking at his smartphone. He's not reading the Tilim. He's guarding like a hawk. He's guarding the field. But at the end of the day, he's not an active person. He's not sweating away. He sits there in his nice air-conditioned office, and therefore, maybe he's standing in the heat. But Lamais is not doing anything active. At the end of the day, he's not doing anything, and therefore, what? He has a lower status. So what does Shmuel say? Shmuel says there's only one case he eats, and only Midrabanon, Mihilchas Medina, once it's detached. Let's see it in the chart. According to Shmuel, when it's still attached to the ground, nobody eats anything. Rashi says outright, neither the active workers don't eat. In the next checker, when it's already detached, because the other workers eat midoraisa, then he's one level below and he eats midorabanon. But nobody eats, he doesn't eat either. He does not eat either. That is Machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Okay, very nice. Meisiv Ravacha bar Rav Huna. Now Ravacha bar Rav Huna is asking a question against Shmuel. He's going to attack Shmuel from a Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, a Mishamer is a poro. The one who is Mishamer the poro. We're talking here not about a cow. We're talking here about the red heifer. We're talking about the red cow. The red cow, the poro aduma, there are many stages to the process of preparing the ash of the poro aduma in order to sprinkle on people who are tomet, memes. What is it? First of all, there's one person who takes it and he shechts it, and afterwards it's obviously Kabbalah Saddam, and another person goes and he sprinkles it. Keneged, where did he do that, by the way? In Arazesim, right? In Mount Olives, facing the Kodesh HaKadoshim, very, very far, but the same level, same level. They sprinkle Keneged Kodesh HaKadoshim, that's another one. They start now burning the poro. They burn the dead body of the cow while putting into the fire. That's Erez, Shnitolas, Vezov, the same ones we use all the time in the Torah. The piece of cedar wood and the other things. And afterwards, after the afer is all there, the ashes, they have to collect the ashes. Throughout this entire process, everything has to be done with utmost tahara. There's a reason, which I'm not going to mention now, that the poro aduma has to be kept with the highest level of tahara, more than any other item in the Torah, more than kochi, more than any other thing. There's a person who watches, that's his job, is to watch throughout the process and make sure nothing bad happens to the ashes, the chulei of the cow, the poro aduma. And what do we say over here? Amishamer es poro, the one who guards the poro, metame b'godim. After he finishes his guarding job, he has to go to the mikveh. Not only he has to go to the mikveh, the clothes that he's wearing are also tameh, which means we have a rule. All those that do anything significant with the poro, kolam is asking b'poro, metame odam letame b'godim. They become tameh. Whoever deals and prepares the poro, different people, they too, the clothes that they wear also become tameh. So you see what? Wait a second. We see a person who's completely passive. He watches like a hawk, but just sitting there. And we say this person, his b'godim become tameh. And if you say mishamer lavko isemai, if you say that the person who guards the poro, just like the person who guards the fruit, is considered to be passive, not active, like Shmuel, amai metame b'godim. Why is it metame b'godim? Shmuel, can you answer the question? The question is on Shmuel. Why do we say, if you say that the person who actively / passively stands there and just watches and makes sure everything is good, if you say that regarding the fruit he's passive and he doesn't have to eat, so too by the poro he's passive and he should not have to have his clothes going to the mikveh. Amar Rabba Barula, no, gzeira shem yozis be'ever. There's a gzeira. Enechnami right, says Shmuel. Says Rabba Barula, protecting Shmuel's opinion. He says you're right, but it's gzeira midorabanan. Midoraisa, the guy who watches the poro, who guards and watches, he doesn't have to do anything. He's not tameh. He's as pure as the snow. Nothing happened to him because he's inactive. They made a gzera that because the guy who's a shomer, by nature, what's his job? To make sure everything's right. If something goes wrong, he may come in mezis be'aver. He may come to move one of the organs of the paraduma. He sees that something's going wrong. He sees maybe a tumor in the corner getting too close to the aver. He would quickly rush and to gather all the ivarim, all the organs that are about to be burnt in the middle of the burning. Yeah, when somebody imagine yourself somebody looking after the Lag Bomer bonfire, the adult in the chabura, he always moves things around and get the kids out of the fire and get the fire into the fire. Yeah, so too there's the chashash. You may do something active and then you'll be really tomim midoraisa. Therefore, Rabbanon made the gzera. But according to Shmuel, it's midorabanan. According to Rav, it's doraisa because Rav really thinks that doraisa he really is metamim. Another question. There's Hashem another question from a brisa. Meitziv Rav Kahana. We're soon going to say goodbye to this long sugya of Achilas Poel. Oops, I'm sorry, the screen is misbehaving. Meisiv Rav Kahana. Let me read it from the Gemara. Okay. Meisiv Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana is again challenging Shmuel from a brisa. A person who guards 4 or 5, he guards 4 or 5 mikshois. Mikshois are places or actually bushes where the cucumbers grow, or in modern Hebrew, mikshai is where the watermelons grow. But I think in Old Hebrew, mikshois are the places or the bushes that some kind of gherkin grows there. Something of that family grows there. The pumpkin, there's like some kind of bush, and they grow over there. So you look after 4 or 5 of those bushes, each one belonging to another person. You're the guard, yeah. And you have the right to eat. Ooh. And we say, if you guard the 5 different bushes of what? Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, and Yerachmiel, do not be unfair and don't be top heavy on one side. What's kreso? Your stomach. Don't fill your stomach from just one of them. You're watching all 5 simultaneously. Don't eat everything just from Reuven's bush, poor Reuven. Eat from each and every one, by proportion. Yeah, every 5 minutes you get hungry, you have a little kind of cutesy little cucumber, one from Reuven, next 5 minutes Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yerachmiel. Do it by proportion. Wait a second. What did we just say? Forget about, by the way, that's halacha. Shulchan Aruch says that's halacha. You have to even it out. Yeah, you have to spread it even and balanced. But the question is, if you say that the mishamer is the person who is inactive and does not deserve to eat, what is he to begin with? According to you, Shmuel, how do you explain this brisa? Right? He's not an active person. Now, these things we understand, they're still growing. What did Shmuel say? You can look in your chart if you want. What did Shmuel say? When it's detached, I'm looking in the chart now. When it's detached, then he only eats midarabanon, but now it is attached. It's still connected to the ground, so it doesn't eat at all. That's what Shmuel says. If you say don't eat at all, then the Mishnah is not your friend, Shmuel. What's going on here, right? Answers the Gemara, shanu. No, we're talking here when they're akurin. Akurin means already disconnected, detached. Eats midarabanon, but nevertheless eats me. I keep saying midarabanon. It's really mina gemedina endorsed by rabbanon. Hey, wait a second. Oh, there is a stage, as you see in the second chart, if you printed my chart from the end of yesterday, yeah. When do we, as you all know actually, when do we say that the person cannot eat anymore? When is that? So Gemara is asking here, if those cucumbers are all picked, we assume that they're picked, and the cucumbers are not going to become wine or dough. They don't have any brighter future, and we assume if they're all picked and in a pile, that's already nigmar lemaiser. That's already called meruach. And if so, he doesn't eat at all, right? For sure, according to Shmuel, that's too late. That's not the too early stage; it's a too late stage. What does he eat? Answers the Gemara, no. Shelonit al fikas shelohem. As we actually said a few days ago, the time when cucumbers and zucchini, their time for their gemar melocho, where they're nice and fixed and ready to be sold, is when you take away the pikas, which is like a flower. There's some kind of small flower, small leaf at the end of each one, I guess, yeah? Maybe at the end of the cucumber there's a little tail. Maybe that, I'm not sure. There is like a small tail there. The flower sometimes stays on right in reality. So when you pick that flower, that's when it's called finished. And that didn't happen yet. The kids are at the middle stage. It wasn't yet memurach, ready for Meiser, because the pikas wasn't yet taken. On the other hand, it's detached. That's a perfect stage for everybody else to eat mida oraisa. And Mr. Shomer eats mida rabbanon, miminiga medina, and Shmuel is very good. So far, Rav and Shmuel, we don't know who's right, who's wrong. Shmuel survived two attacks. Shmuel survived two attacks from Mishnah and Brisa, but we still don't know whether he's right or Rav is right, because Rav is even better. Rav says he eats midoraisa, so all these things are midoraisa. Omar Ravashi, now says Ravashi, now we're going to know whose halacha is like. Kavose de Shmuel mistabra. What's kavose? Like him. Kavose means like him. Kavose de Shmuel mistabra. It makes sense that Shmuel is right in this case. The Tanan. We're actually going now to review the Mishnah, where it's a very, very nice way to finish the sugya. We're going to now review the Mishnah that started off the sugya, the Mishnah of in Daf Pei Zayin Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page. If you want, you're welcome to flip there. I'm not going to do it, but if you want, then bevakasha. So it says over there. It says in the Mishnah is the Reisha and the Seifa, like every good Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah at the beginning, the Tanan. The Eilu Oichlin Min HaTorah. The Mishnah starts with interesting words. These are the people and the stages that eat Min HaTorah. What does Min HaTorah usually mean? When I tell you something, you know, when you do this and that's Midoraisa. That comes to exclude what? What's the opposite of Doraisa? Anybody? The Rabbanon. Very good. Comes the Mishnah and promises me, so to speak, that there are two levels in the Mishnah, Doraisa and the Rabbanon. Starts the Resha. You know, these guys, those stages, they eat Min HaTorah. The person who is detaching something which is connected to the ground, meaning the one who's picking the food, right? Ubetolush, and the one who does the malacha betolush, ad shalon yigmar melachton, right? The guy who's dealing with the fruit, that or the vegetables before meruach, the two middle stages, that's fun time, eating time. Yuhu, that's when the parlim can eat, as opposed to what? As opposed to if you eat too early when it's completely attached and you're just hoeing the ground, or it's too late, it's past the meiser, too early or too late, what happens then? Michlal, that is to say, then when the Mishnah tells you the word deoraisa, blink, 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 Michlal, that is to say, the Ika, there is a certain stage, the lo kochel min haTorah ela minchas medina. There's some stage, I don't know what, that a poel would not eat midoraisa, but would eat only milchas medina. He eats because of the social norm the Chachamim accepted. Okay, which one is that stage? Let's pretend as if we don't know which stage is Midorabanon. Let's see, and let's read now the Seifa. Aim a Seifa. Let's look now at the Seifa. And what did the Seifa say? The Seifa was the mirror image of the Reisha, the other side of the coin. Says the Seifa, the Eilu hen, yeah, says the Seifa, the Eilu she'enan oichlin. Now comes the Seifa and told me, you know who are the ones who do not eat? Well, clearly, who are the ones who do not eat? I'm going to tell you. The ones that are too early, when it's that are mechuber lakarka, and the ones that are too late, past meruach. And by the way, also, if you milk the cow, I forgot that, right? There's the third one. Remember? Yeah, if you milk a cow, or you deal with the cheese, any stage of anything that's not gidul lakarka, you don't eat. That was your question, remember? If you work in elite with the chocolate, maybe chocolate is gidul lakarka, actually. Yeah, you work with a milk, it's not gedula karka. Now, let's analyze, let's understand the seifa. My einan oichlin, when you say that those that are too early or too late stages, if you want to tell me, look, very nice, they don't eat midoraisa, only midorabanon, who would be happy now? Rav. In other words, in the stage where you don't eat midoraisa, everybody, shomer, a real worker, they eat with the Rabbanon. But if so, Hainu Reisha. I could have already deducted it from the Reisha. It's redundant, right? In other words, let me explain to you. If I tell you there are two pieces of meat over here, and you tell a poisek, you know, Harav Goin, so and so, I have two pieces. You know, this chicken was cooked with milk, and this veal was cooked with milk. And the Rav will tell you, there's the doraisa and the rabbanon here. The veal with the milk is doraisa. So the other one is, you don't have to be a genius to understand that's the rabbanon. Yeah. So if the Rav is now telling you again, he's calling you back. The other one is the rabbanon. Obviously, yeah, it's redundant. So comes out the Mishnah is saying something which is miyutar, which is redundant. In other words, must be there's another rabbanon hanging in the background over here. The Mishnah promised us, there's a rabbanon, and it cannot be the seifa. Don't tell me that the ones who don't eat with the raisa, that when it's too early stage, that's one who eats with the rabbanon. Why? Because that cannot be, because that would be redundant. So we're still looking for someone who eats with the rabbanon. We don't know who that is. That's the X. Yeah, that's a variable we don't know. Elalav must be shen oichlin lo min haTorah v'lo milchas medina. Must be that the seifa, which is not repeating the Reisha, is giving me new information and telling you, Mr. Hands off, hands off. Those people, those stages of too early and too late, they ain't an oichlin. They just don't eat at all. The rice of the Rabbanon, Medina, or Mecca, doesn't matter what. Yeah, umayni, who are those that don't eat at all? The one who does the job, either shomer or even a real worker, when it's still attached to the ground, before the fruit is ripe and about to be picked. The kolshik and shomer ganus is all the more so. The shomer who doesn't do anything. Sorry to say, he's not moving his body. Very nice. He's reading the Yated Ne'eman all day long. Secondly, the shomer, what's he doing? The stage is too early and nobody eats bichlal, not even the other ones. Kolshik and he is not. So where's the Rabbanon, guys? The Gemara is missing something. Who eats with the Rabbanon? Tell me, according to Shmuel, which stage and who? The shomer eats with the Rabbanon when everybody else eats with the Oraisa. If you calculate the whole Mishnah, comes that Shmuel is bang nicely, pinned right in the middle. In the middle stage, where everybody eats with the Oraisa, what's the middle stage? While picking the fruit and putting into the keilecha, and not putting into kalecha, putting the klim of balabais, and all the stages from then until Gmar Melocha L'Maisa, everybody else eats Midoraisa. Poor Shomer, Midoraisa, he doesn't eat because he's inactive. He's a passive guy. He doesn't get to eat Midoraisa. Medina, Ilchas Medina, meaning it became normal and it's now endorsed by Chazal as a good social norm that should be followed. I'm defining to you, by the way, Minhag Medina, if you noticed, yeah? Minhag Medina is the dead guy, the Shomer, should eat with the Rabbanon. But when they don't eat at all, surely he doesn't eat at all either. That's Shmuel. Now, Rav, by the way, would say what? According to Rav, everybody eats all the time. According to Rav, when you don't eat with the Oraisa, everybody still has bonanza, only with the Rabbanon. Yeah, if I come to Ho or to water, something that's unfinished, and hey, I found one that's ready already, by Te'enim, by Sroigim, I find one which is already ready to eat. I can eat it with the Rabbanon, according to Rav. And the shomer can also run from his budke, have a break, and eat as well. But here again, halacha is not like Rav. Now, this is not because it's Chosh and Mishpat, and Shmuel is a forever winner when it comes to Chosh and Mishpat. Here, by the way, the Mishnah also was meduyik like Shmuel. So if Shmuel is endorsed by a Mishnah, then Shmuel won the case yet again. Okay, great. Wow. We're done with the sugya of eating from the fruit. Next time you own a field, wherever that is, Eretz Yisrael or in Chul, you have to make sure you allow your workers, the Yiddish workers, not the families, to eat. You want to summarize? What are the limitations of the guy who wants to eat? No, something. What are the limitations of the guy, of the poil who wants to eat? He can do whatever he wants, eat 5 tons, whichever way he wants. He has to be an active worker. No, midorabanon passive. What else? Himself, and the halacha he cannot give it to his wife and kids. True, that's true. The halacha cannot give to his wife and kids. Can eat it with his favorite sauce, nando. No, cannot put his nando on the grapes, even if he likes nando and grapes. I don't know, it's an interesting combination, or any other salt and pepper business, right? That's 2. Can he eat to no end, like he's stuffed, achila gasa? No. What about if the pineapple is worth 500 shekels? And he gets no. He's bang. No, you can eat 500 shekels pineapple. Yeah, la locha. Yeah. Yeah, he's paid 30 shekels an hour, but he hit the jackpot. One of the pineapples is the prize pineapple, and he happened to hit it in the middle and to hit and eat. So you can eat the 500 the balabais concern, right? However, he can make a deal with balabais. I don't know who's winning more, and the balabais can say, you don't eat, and instead I'll pay you for the amount of food you would find, and maybe then they can take that into account. Yeah, that's the short version. What about an animal? Animals can eat even more than people. Yeah, no, they can eat. What happens if you don't allow your worker to eat? You intimidate him and he's saying, my field, nobody eats. Or you get Malchus? Yes, no? No. But you have to pay him. Guys are exceptional to the Chachamim. Takes him to base. An animal, if you muzzle the animal while it's working, what do you get? Lashes. Next time people tell you Torah is not into animals' rights, show them the Gemara. Yeah, you get punished more for muzzling the animal than muzzling the person. Are we progressive or not? I'm joking. Yeah, okay. Now says the Mishnah. I'm such a good mood because we hit the classical Mishnah in Shas. I'm personally excited. Yes, since Kita Daled till today, I've been waiting for that moment. Heilige Mishnah. Arba Shomrim Hen. Yehu, there are four Shomrim. There are four Shomrim in halacha. There are four guards. There are four different people with four different conditions that look for keepers, guards, whatever you call them. Four people who look after your money, who look after your property, and they have three different halachas that apply to them. Shomer Chinam. The person is volunteer. You ask a person to do you a favor. Can you look after my suitcase, please, while I go somewhere in the airport? He's looking after your suitcase. He says yes. He has to agree, right? He has to agree to be a shomer, right? And he says, yeah, I'm your shomer. Vashoyel, shoyel is the other extreme. Is the person who borrows. The person who borrows, what's he? He only enjoys and benefits from your object, while, yeah, he's not even paying. He gets kol hano shaloi. He gets all the fun. Noise sochel. Noise socher is a person who is a paid worker, is a paid shomer, is going to look after it, after your item for money. Yeah, for the nice handsome amount of 40 shekels an hour, I will look after your suitcase in the airport, okay, or anywhere else actually. Bring your thing to me, 40 shekels an hour, and I'll do a great job. Renter, rent a car, rent a cow. The renter is the person who enjoys your item and at the same time pays for it. A renter. These are the four people. What are the different halachas? And by the way, all these halachas, what it should do really is we should really read those paragraphs from Parshas Mishpatim. Parshas Mishpatim defines three different cases of shomrim, and the Torah describes one person as all kinds of issues that can happen to the item. Nishba, it broke, it fell captive. Let's say somebody kidnapped the cow, something like that. V'chulei, all these things are described in the Torah. Sometimes it's oines, things are beyond your control, and sometimes it is gneva v'aveda, it was lost or stolen, and you could have controlled it. Now, shomer chinam, I gave you this introduction on purpose. Shomer chinam nishba alakoil. What does that mean? A shomer chinam, hakoil means all different scenarios described in the Torah. These scenarios are really of two levels, either oines meaning something beyond your control, UFOs came from outer space, or, okay, less crazy, robbers came, big lion came, something way out of my control, oines, I couldn't have done anything about it, out of my control, or gneva vaveda, I could have looked after it better, but it got lost or stolen, but it was not pshia, not negligence, yeah? You know the levels already, right? Those levels of either complete oines or gneva vaveda, which is half oines, half pshia, in those the shomer chinam nishba alakol. What does it mean nishba alakol? He swears regarding all of them, which means if he swears and he says, I was really not, I really looked after it properly, I was not poishea, I wasn't really negligent. A shomer chinam, he's nishba that plus two other shvus with the rabbanon and a b'shusla v'chulei, is nishba alakol and he gets scot free. In other words, shomer chinam is chayav on what? On pshia, but pshia is not mentioned in the Torah. That's what says the coil. Get what I'm saying? In other words, if shomer chinam, as long as he looked after it, minimally, just to tick the box, he wasn't completely negligent. And by the way, today or tomorrow, we're going to define what's negligence, what's not. Finally, if he wasn't really negligent, he swears I wasn't negligent. off the hook, no problem, you're a good boy. You don't have to pay. That's shoyel. Let's go now to the other extreme. Mishalim is the call. The shoyel has to pay for everything, meaning the shoyel not only was completely negligent, even if the shoyel was level of gneva vaveda, he was half negligent, or the shoyel was faced by an army of lions or terrorists, or I don't know what, complete oiness, still has to pay. It was not my fault. I couldn't have done anything. So what? It's not your fault. Kol hano shaloi. You get all the fun. You don't, not only you don't pay me, right? You get all the fun to do that. You therefore the level of shmira expected of you is way beyond. There's machlokas rishonim that some rishonim says machlokas Tosfos and Ramban in Bava Kama, maybe even a shoyel has a limit to his oiness. But we're not discussing it now. But what other people would call oinsin, by you shall we expect more of you. I want you to give me back good animal just like you borrowed. However, there is a level which we rarely mention that even a shoyel is potter. What is that? Remember? Impressive. Which means if the cow worked very hard, yeah, all day long he worked, and then he died out of hard work, the shoyel does not have to pay. Why? Because that is part of the she'ela. As the Gemara says, he did not borrow it in order to put it in the shed. In other words, you, Mr. Owner knew that cow is going to work very hard, and out of hard work, as long as he treated it okay, wasn't negligent, didn't starve it, didn't hit it, he treated it okay. He just died because of hard work, and it did the job. Someone borrowed your pen and he used it up until the ink is not there. That's what the pen is for. You lent your expensive pen to someone who writes a lot, doesn't use computers, and you lent it for 5 months. Fine, the ink is over. Yeah, in other words, that's the way it is. Okay, we're not going into the depth of all that. That's just the introduction. What about the middle group? The renter or the shomer socho, that's the one who gets paid in order to look after it. That's his job. Or the one who rented it, he enjoys it and he pays you for the enjoyment. Avis, hurts, v'chulei. Nishboim ala shvura v'ala shvuya v'ala mesa. In other words, all the three cases, let's say the animal is now broke its leg. The animal is now captured, was now stolen by someone in a way, not regular theft, but mamish, by highwaymen people, yeah, by robbers, yeah, by armed robbers, v'ala mesa. He died all of a sudden. That's called oinsin. The nishboim, if it was an oines, somewhere way out of my control, they make a shvua. We were not negligent. This is a real story. Shvua versus Sefer Torah, and what? And the ghost scot-free. But if the level is the middle level of gneva va'aveda, which means not complete negligence, but not complete oines either, somewhere in the middle, which Baruch Hashem we're going to define today, we tell them, listen, guys, as long as it's not oines, you are paid. We expect of you, Mr. Shomer Socher, more than Shomer Chinam. Don't say, hey, why did he go scot-free? He doesn't get paid. You get paid. The expectation is obviously higher. And therefore, we expect of you to up the level of your shmira, to always protect and always make sure it doesn't get lost or stolen. Now, these were not the ganovim. You should have protected it from the theft. Yeah, we'll see the level later. Yeah, it's not like, you're one guy and 5 armed robbers came with a face like that and he had nothing to do. That wasn't the case. So even though you're not super negligent, you're just about okay, you still have to pay because you're paid. And by the way, the same halacha applies to a renter, the one who rented the car or the cow, the one who enjoys and pays for the enjoyment, for the hana, he also has the same level as shomer socher. Everyone agrees to that? That a socher is like shomer socher, or is a machloikas? Kayadua, it's a machloikas. Yeah, we saw it before, and we'll see it again. Says the Gemara, Man Tana al Shomrim, who's the Tana who follows the concept that there are 4 shomrim, there are 4 different shomrim? Amar Nachman, Omar Rabba Baravua, Rabbi Meir. Yeah, no, Rabbi Meir is the one who believes that there are 4 shomrim in the Torah. Rabbi Meir, our Mishnah follows the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Amar Rav Nachman, Rav is now asking Rav Nachman, who just quoted Rabba Baravua, saying Rabbi Meir is the author of our Mishnah, Mi'ika de Leisla Bo Shomrim. Is there anybody in Shas, any Tana, who does not believe that there are 4 different shomrim? It's a very, very well-known halacha that there are 4 shomrim. I'll show you all different Tanoim. They all believe that there are 4 realities, 4 different cases of Rabbi Shomrim. So now Rav Nachman responds to Rove and says, no, you didn't understand me. That's Amin Allah. This is what Amin Allah, what I'm telling you. Amina Lach. I am telling you. Man tana socher kenoise socher Rabbi Meir. You know who is the one? What did I tell you before? How many halachas are there here? 4 or 3? 3, right? There are 4 cases, but 2 of the cases share the same halacha. Shomer socher and socher, right? So now, who is the one who lumps together shomer socher and socher? That's the business. Everybody knows that there are 4 shomrim. A goy also knows it. Yeah, there are 4 realities in life. There's rent a car, there's borrowing your friend's drill, chinam and socher. You don't have to be even frum to know that. But the question is the halacha. Who groups them to 3 groups that way? That is Rabbi Meir, who believes that a shomer, that a socher is like an oisa socher. We're going to explain this more soon. That's Rabbi Meir. As opposed to other Tanoim, Rabbi Meir is the one who believes that, and he's the author of our Mishnah, therefore. Who is the one arguing? We'll discuss that soon. But first, there's another question. No. We heard from Rabbi Meir, what's Ipcha? The other way. No. I know there's a machlokes between Rabbi Meir and someone else, and there actually Rabbi Meir believes no, that the soicha, a renter, is judged not like a paid worker, is judged as a non-paid worker. The Tanya, it says in the Brisa. Oh, now we get to the actual point, and I'm going to explain it now. Soicher ketzat mishalem. It's a Brisa. It's a Brisa that we saw before. Yeah. How does a soicher pay? Meaning, what's the status of a person who borrowed something, but he pays for the usage? He pays for the ano. What is his status? Is it shomer chinam or shomer socho? Rabbi Meir oimer keshomer chinam, not like you said. Rabbi Meir says he's like a shomer chinam. He's judged as a shomer chinam, and therefore, as long as it's not pshia, he doesn't have to pay. We're going to explain why. Rabbi Yehuda oimer keshomer socho. Rabbi Yehuda says he's like a shomer socho, and therefore his level is higher, and he has to pay even for gneva v'aveda. We're going to explain it soon, I promise. But Lamaisa, what's the main point here? We see that Rabbi Meir is actually not the author of our Mishnah. Let's summarize. Everybody knows that there are 4 cases and 3 halachas, right? Sounds like, Chad Gadya here. There are 3 halachas. Everybody knows that a soicher, by the way, maybe that's what I'm missing here, a soicher is not mentioned in the Torah. The Torah doesn't talk outright. You can open Parshas Mishpatim, promise you pay me $1 million if you find it mefurish in the Torah. And I'm the rumors. Mefurish, no. You don't see the case of a soicher, a renter, mentioned in the Torah. It's up to Chazal, which is really up to Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, to decide where do you pigeonhole, where do you locate the soicher. Is it like shomer chinam or like a shomer socho? That's machlekes. Rabbi Meir chinam, Rabbi Yehuda socho. But in any event, you are wrong, l'choira, right? Because you, Rav Nachman, told us that Rabbi Meir says that it's shomer socher. No, he says shomer chinam. And says the Gemara, no, Rabba bar Avua, which is one quoted by Rav Nachman, ipcha ktani. His version is just the other way around. It's always a machlokas all over Shas, and here too, he believes the other way around. He heard from his rabbanim, he heard from his teachers the other way around from you. He heard that Rabbi Meir says it's sacho and Rabbi Yehuda chinam. Bekitzer, lo, I would say lo mishaneh, yes mishaneh, but at the end of the day, there's a machlokas who says what. But we know that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, one of them locates shomer socher. He defines him as, he defines soicher. Soicher as a shomer chinam. One of them defines a shomer socher. Now, let me remind you how we explained it, and we'll explain it again. That was in Daf, in Peiches, whatever. Yeah, that was previously in the Masechta. We saw it in Peites Amud Aleph. No. In any event, I forgot where we saw it, but we saw like this. What's the question here? What's the argument whether a soicha is a shemachinam or shemasocha? One opinion will tell you it's a shemachinam. Why is it shemachinam? He enjoys what? The car. Yeah, Ben is manim soon, right? He rents a very, very nice, fancy, 9-seaters, right? Takes his family all over the country. He enjoys the car, but he pays for the fun, right? So it's evened out. It's like a shomer chinam, right? You're saying, I enjoyed your thing. I enjoyed it, but I paid for it. So it's evened out. It's mitkazez, we say in Hebrew, right? Yeah, I enjoyed your 500 shekels a day car. I paid you 500 shekels. At the end of the day, we're all evened out, and it's as if I'm a shomer chinam, and therefore, as long as it wasn't pasha, the car got lost or stolen. Goodbye, Charlie. However, that's the easier way to understand. The other way to understand is no. The fact you enjoy it, you be'etzem start off when you drive the car, fun. You get the enjoyment of the car and the drill and the cow and the thing. You are better a shoyel. Really, you're a shoyel. Ah, elamai. A shoyel gets kol hano shaloi and pays nothing. You pay. The fact you pay doesn't make you to shemachinam. The fact you pay makes you a shoel minus. You and the shoel, I lent my car to Reuven for free. For Shimon, I lent the same exact car for the same conditions for money. So the fact you pay money means you're shoel who is not expected as much as regular shoel because you're paid shoel. What's a shoel minus? Whose level is one below shoel? Shomer sochar. And therefore you're called a shomer sochar. Meaning we accentuate more, we stress more the fact you're enjoying everything. You pay? Right. That's why you off the hook regarding oinsin. But at the end of the day, you still are considered to be a shomer sochar. That's a svara. Okay? That's a svara. And the halacha we say the noisa sochar is like the soichel. It's really, a borrower is like a shomer sochar. He has to pay the gneva v'aveda. Frag the Gemara, okay? Ihochi. Now that we said that, Ihochi, now that we said that really all different Tanoim all agree that you only have three sections, right? Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir, everyone agrees you only have three Metzias, you only have three halachic definitions. If so, Arba, Shloishaninu. Why did the Mishnah tell me that there are four Shomrim? Really, there are three. Because halachically, there are only three. There are four guards, but the dinim are shlosha, as I told you. The Mishnah is not wrong. The Mishnah says there are four shomrim. Yes, there are. And there are three sections. That's musical chairs, two children sitting on one chair. You have two people share the same halacha, shomer sochar and the soicher. Now we're getting into the real business. Now we're going to define, finally, Baruch Hashem, we're going to define Be'ezus Hashem. How do you define the, one second, okay, how do we define Shia, Gneva Vaveda, all these things, negligence? Many times we discussed it and we're not clear about it. Now the Gemara is going to give us a very clear machlokes. It's going to be, of course, but we're going to define better now a very, very, very key point in the entire understanding of Shomrim. How do you define negligence? And how do you find that middle, that half negligence called Gneva Vaveda? So let's start with the story and with the opinion of Rabbah. Ahuraya, there was once upon a time, there was a ro'eh. What's a ro'eh? Remind me? A shepherd. There was a shepherd. A shepherd is shepherds. Are shepherds usually paid? When you give your sheep and your goats to someone to look after, you pay them or you don't? I pay, my guy. I pay, yeah. You pay a babysitter, a dog sitter, yeah. So you pay your sheep sitter. So that's not good. You should be paid, yeah. Dog walkers, they get paid anyway. So no, so you should be paid. A roya is a shomer sochar. He looks after your sheep, your goats, your animals for money. All very nice. He shepherd. He was grazing. Yeah, he was doing the shepherd's job over animals. Guda de Nahar Papa. Over the bank, Guda is a bank, not Hagi or Leumi or Chase Manhattan. Guda is the bank of the river. Yeah, Guda is the bank of the river. The Nahar Papa. Papa was the name of a river. Yeah, maybe they named it after the Amoiro. I don't know. Yeah, Lamai said the river Papa was there, and the person was grazing his sheep. Yeah, off the banks of the river. All of a sudden, drama. Da 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 da. Sorig chodaminai. One of them slipped. One of the sheep slipped. Sorig is slipped. V'nofal slamaya. It's nafal el hamayim. Do you have to translate what nafal el hamayim means? No. Yeah, it fell into the water. Fell into the water and died. Tragic. So now, how do you define that? Let's see. Also, Rabba. He came to Rabba to know what's the halacha. Rabba was a dayan, the poisek. Upatre. He says that this shomer sochar, his animal slipped into the river, and yet Rabba said that is potur. Wow, I wouldn't have said that. I would say that's negligence. You know, it's not like robbers came. I thought the shomer sochar is potur from oinsin. I always imagined since Kitadalit till today, it's been a long time, that oinises, you know, people coming guns blazing, a big lion came out of your control. That's not called out of control. And yet Rabbi says that a shomer sochar is potur. So you have charts in your mind that a shomer sochar is potur only from oinis. And Rabbi defines that as oinis, a whole fresh look, a whole fresh outlook on oinis. Omar, Rabbi explains his opinion. My havil, but what could have he done? What could he have done? Says Rabbi, a big chiddush. He says like this: Anotar kedenatri inshi. That's the side of Rabbi. Rabbi is giving you a whole new perspective on oines. Oines, according to Rabbi, does not mean the situation. It means the level of shmira. Notar kedenatri inshi. Let me just translate it for you. He guarded it the same way the owner would have guarded it. Let me tell you a story. Give me an honest answer. Yeah. Let's say, yeah, you live in a nice, friendly Israeli building, nice from neighborhood. It's not a crime neighborhood. It's not a bad neighborhood. Yeah, I'm coming to explain what Robert just said. Yeah. And Baruch Hashem, there's no crime rate at all. Middle of the day, and you live in the first floor. You're going up to the fourth floor, yeah, to borrow some milk from a friend, and you always end up chatting with him. He's a nice guy. You chat with him another 10, 15 minutes, and you leave the door unlocked, completely unlocked. And that's what you always do. Day in, day out, now in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there are lots of people in the building. It's a safe building, safe neighborhood, safe environment. And you yourself, you leave the house for 15 minutes and nothing ever happens. There's no bad ending over here. Once, all of a sudden, you tell a guy you went to Chul, and now you told someone to be your house sitter for money. He gets paid, I don't know, 100 shekels a day while you're in Chutz Lawrence, and he left the door open exactly the same way you would, and he went to chat with the fourth floor neighbor, and he borrowed milk, and he left it for 15 minutes, exactly as you would have done, and now robbers came. That's a tricky question. On one end, you would say, that's not oines. You, mechutzaf, why did you leave it open? The shomer would tell you, and the shomer is now endorsed by Rabbah, I guarded it exactly the same way as you would. And therefore, that's called oines, meaning Rabbah is redefining oines. Get ready for that. Prepare your minds. Oines is not guns blazing or lines or any, pyrotechnics over here. As long as the person guarded it normal, meaning the same level as the Bailim himself would, which you can argue on that, by the way, because he gets paid. We're going to talk about it later. But says Rabbah, no. If he guards them as people do, it's normal for the guards to, be there with the sheep without being like a Yiddish shemame and making sure nobody falls into the water. It happens that sheep fall into water, and although he gets paid, it's not called Gneva Vaveda. It's not called the level of Gneva Vaveda, it's called Oines. Oines, again, does mean out of control. That's what we always thought, and we will think later. But Rabbi says no. Oines means as long as I guarded it normally, anything beyond that is defined as Oines. That's Rabbi's definition. If you don't like that definition, join Abaye's club. Omerle Abaye is now asking Rabbah. Rabbah was his master, you know that, and his adoptive parent, yeah? Omerle Abaye, says Abaye to his stepfather Rabbah, Elameata, according to you, that comes like very weird. Let's see the following case. What would be in the hypothetical case? Al lemata, let's say the shomer went into town. He's supposed to graze the animals where? To shepherd the animals out of town in the grazing area, in the glen, in the whatever it's called, yeah? And then he went into town, be'idna de aili inshi. Let's say it's normal, a bit like my case, be'idna, in the time when people come in. Let's say the owners of the sheep, the owners of the cow, they all graze, they all lays outside town looking after the sheep. Let's say there's a safe time during the day when all the wolves and all the ganovim are too busy. All the wolves are watching a movie. The wolves are not going to come. The thieves are not going to come. It's a safe time of day, and it's normal and accepted for people to take a break, yeah, for their own animals and go into town and do what? And do the business for 10, 15, half an hour, then come back. Let's say the Shomer Socher did that. Achinami the Potter, would he be Potter? Which means not only if the animal fell by mistake and he was, out of the system, something happened all of a sudden. Here, in the bias case, it's a bit worse. You chose to abandon the animals for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, go into town to buy yourself a fruit shake and come back, and that would be Potter. He's negligent. Omerle, says Rabbah, live with it. Yes, exactly. Even if he's doing something actively negligent, but he's as negligent as the owner himself would be, like my example with leaving your door open, borrowing milk for 50 minutes. If everyone does that, the shomer doesn't have to be holier than thou. You can argue, but that's what I think, says Rabbah. Abaye keeps pushing. Correct Abaye. Gana puta beidna de Ganu inchi achinam de potu. Ghana is not just a country in Africa. What's Ghana? When it's sleep. He went to sleep in the middle of the day. Purta, a little bit. He had a nap. He had an eye shut. Yeah. He shut his eyes a bit for 10, 15 minutes, half an hour. For what? While the animals are running around. You're like a ganenet. Yeah. He's running around the animals. He's still potter. That's worse than going to town because his mom's going to sleep. Yeah. Would he still be potter? Omerle in. Yes. If it's a time that the owner himself would, if it's accepted for every owner in the world, yeah. Let's say you are guarding your little kids, you're a good, responsible father, but you sleep while you're 8 years old, it's not so little, is running around the house. You're not negligent. 8 years old can manage while they're having a half an hour sleep. So let's say a babysitter sleeps when she's getting paid for it, says Rabba, same thing, it's okay. Yeah, because at the end of the day, he's looking after just like the owner would. That's Rabba's svara, and he goes with it through fire and water. Asive. So Misvara, Abaye didn't win the case. Asive. Now we're coming to question and ask from the Mishnah on Rabbah. Says the Brisa, I'll give you now examples of oinsin that a shomer socher is potter on. You know what's called oines? Listen to this. It's a pasuk from Eov, from Job. Kigon vatipol shvo vatikochem. Vesaneorim hikol afichorev. Lo aleinu misken Eov. You know his life. He had very, very good life. At the beginning of the story of the Sefer Eov, his sons died and his daughter and all these surim and they had skin issues. And what happened to all these slaves? Shvo are Siba. The Goyim came, all of the whole army of Goyim came, and Vatikochem, and they captivated, they took them to captivity. His what's his name? His servants, and they hit them they killed them with the sword. Bekitzer, we are in the Brisa describing oines as I learned in Kita Dalid. Oines means something way out of control, not like your Rabbah saying. Yeah, oines means robbers, bandits, big animals, atom bombs. That's oines. Sorry, Rabbah. Interesting definition, but the Brisa doesn't endorse you. The Brisa says what? Oines means big guns. Omer Le says, Rabbah, you're not scaring me. Awesome over there, b'chazone mata. What's chazone mata? You'll be surprised. The word chazan, chazan, Yosef Rosenblatt. The word chazan, says Abu Darha, means a guard, a watch. Because he's like watching the davening. He's your guard in Shamayim. Chazone mata are the people who guard the city during night, by night. Have you ever heard the terms Mishmar Ezrachi? Aga, you know it's Mishmar Ezrachi. I know all the Americans know about it. Civilian, English? Civilian guards, the police, yeah. So if you're the police, says Rashi, you guard the town by night. That's very, very important. You know where? In the Shtachim, by Yudav Shimon, right? They lived in the, gated communities, and there are people patrolling all night long for a good reason, yeah? So if they look, all night long, while people are sleeping, plus they don't just look after money, they also guard people's lives. Oh, that, if you guard someone in the middle of the night and you're his, how do you call it, like a proper, not lifeguard, like what? Not a shliach. Because so you look after his life, not just the money. Of course, then you are and you're paid. Then, unless it's real oinus of real robbers coming and attacking you, then you are potur. But if you only look after money, then your level of shmira is lower, even though you're paid and you just guarded it the same way the bailim would. I stick to my guns, and that's still called oinus if it was beyond the regular shmira. If you look after people's lives, then it's a different halacha. And then you are liable unless it was real oinus, real guns blazing. Unless that, you're still chayav. That's gneva vaveda. So you already have two levels of shomer socher: money or life. Eisive, another attack on Rabbah. Ad mosei shomer socher chayav lishmoil. What is the level of shmira? Up to what level is the shmira expected of a shomer socher? I'm not thinking now b'di'evet. L'chatchila, let's say a shomer socher. Yeah, your friend tells you tomorrow, you'll be my shomer socher. I'll pay you 50 an hour. Look after my candlesticks. You want to know what's halacha? What's required of me halachically? The Brisa tells you, ad kedei, up to the point, up to a very high level of aisi bayom echalani choyrev bekerach balayla. You know who said that to who? Yaakov to, very good, to Lavan. Yaakov told Lavan, you know how I looked after your sheep? Achalani choyrev. During the day, the heat was eating into me. Yeah, I was dying from heat. It was very, very hot. Air conditioning, for some reason, didn't work. The kerach balayla. By night, I was freezing. You have to go into this very, very serious discomfort. There's a very high level of shmir expected of you, meaning more than the bailim. Yeah, I don't know if I would look after my own money through Mesiras Nefesh of, suffering physically. It depends on the value, but I don't know. I don't know if I would look after this ich weiß, 100 shekel item, but freezing or, almost risking my health. And yet, Shomer Socher is expected a very, very high level of Shmira. Oh, how do you reconcile that, Rabbah? You say no. You say that the Shomer Socher is expected to guard the same level like the Baalim himself would. That's no. Here we see we're expected more than the Baalim. That doesn't work right with Rabbah. Yeah, Yaakov looked after it more than Lovan would. Yeah. Omerlei. So Rabbah answers, no. Hosam nami b'chazonei mata. Over there also by Yaakov, we're talking here about chazonei mata, meaning the level of shmira expected of not a regular guy who looks after candlesticks in the middle of the day, or I don't know, something, the money during normal time. We're talking about looking after something middle of the night and it's life and not money. Chazonei mata, the ones who guard the town, the shomer ha'ir, they're the mishmar ezrachi, the civil guards. They're the ones who are expected that level. But one who looks after the money, supposed to look after it just like the Bailim would. Again, like Rabbah. There's a fault in that. Frag the Gemara, Omer Lei, Atu Yaakov Avinu, Chazan Masahava. Was Yaakov Avinu looking after anyone's life? No. He was looking only after the money, right? He was looking after sheep, not after anyone's life. He wasn't Lavan's bodyguard. He was Lavan's roya. So he seems to be wrong, right? Yeah, historically, that was not the case. He was looking after money, property, sheep and goats, that's all. And he was a Shomer Socher. How he got paid, I don't know. But at the end of the day, he was a Shomer Socher, right? And yet you see that he has high level, even though he's only looking after money. You said not like that. You said if you look after money, then you have to be just equal to the Bailim, not more. Answers the Gemara, no. Explains Rabbi the Pasuk, no. The Omer Leila Lovon, Yaakov told Lovon, Natzri Lach, I guarded you. When did Yaakov approach Lavan with that very strong claim? At the very end of the story, there's a very dramatic scene in the Torah. Lavan is chasing him. Lavan starts blaming Yaakov, that he's the Ganav and he's the runaway and he's the bad guy in the story. At that point, Yaakov, I'm sure he didn't lose it, but Yaakov sounds as if Yaakov says, excuse me, you saying I'm the thief and I'm the runaway and I'm the one. I looked after your sheep better than I should have. That's Rabbah here. You blaming me that I'm the liar in the story? Let's forget about who's the liar here. That Yaakov doesn't say. I looked after your sheep more than I should have, says Rabbah. What's your terta? Extra shmira. I did extra guarding, like chazonei mata. I treated your sheep as if they were human beings. So let's summarize because we have to finish now. What does Rabbah say? Really, when you talk about what? Regular shmira, I'm a shomer socher. I get paid 50 shekels an hour. That's a nice amount to look after someone's oranges, apples, computers, whatever. You get paid accordingly. I have to look after it just like the Baalim would. If the Baalim has nice 10 minutes break in the convenient time, I took the break, I'm okay. I don't have to pay for that. And if anything happened, that's called oinus. Even though it's not oinus, halachically it's oinus. That's what Rabbah says and sticks to that. However, if you look after someone's life, and his life depends on that, you're someone's, real guard, bodyguard, let's say, you have to be very, very alert, more than the person himself maybe, or actually we don't care if it's more or less. You just have to be super, super careful, like Yaakov Avinu. And then if anything happens beyond that, your guard with one little gun and 10 Arabs came and with big Kalashnikovs on your face, Chasron, then, okay, you ran away, then you're potter. That's oinus, in that level. But if it's only money, then Rabbah's Agdor of oinus is much lighter. To be continued, and Imretz Hashem, see you on Sunday. I can see you before. But on Sunday, thank you to everyone on YouTube from our channel, everyone on Torah Anytime. Maybe I should also put it in Kol HaLashon. I have such Havamina. Thank you very much. May you have an easy fast. May Mashiach come soon. B'schus Torah, b'schus all the wonderful people who come here to listen to Shiur every day. Mashiach should come soon. Should be dancing in the streets of Yerushalayim. Habenuya b'meir b'meinu. Thank you.